And then from that radio show, I got to know a lot of musicians, and some of them also ended up on the album. And these guys I always kept in touch ever since I stopped with that radio show. So some of them come from that period. Other ones I just approached, indeed. I searched them, and either they were already on my bucket list, like George Lynch. He was on my bucket list for all the 3 years. So I just approached him, and again and again and again. And then finally, he, with some mediation of Keith, he said yes. And also some others, I just found them on YouTube. I didn't know them. Found them because I'm always, searching for music and looking for music, and found these guys. I thought, wow, man, these guys are great. I must have them, and reached out to them, and then they did it. So it's a kind of a mix.
Yeah, that's a really good medium to search is YouTube videos. We do the same thing here for our show to find people. The challenge we typically run into is a language barrier, where sometimes bands don't understand what we're saying, or English is a second language to them, so they don't understand how to communicate back to us. And there's the whole time zone thing, So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, with playing music, that's not important, because you only talk one language, which is music. And I must say that my challenge was there are many musicians that are willing to play on an album, because it's also, for them, it's also business, and it's what they do. But the challenge for me was to find the right musician, because it's not difficult to find a musician, but finding the right one, with the one that is able to lift the song to the next level or really add to the song. That was quite a challenge. And also I had to make sure that having 12 different guests on the album, I could not have the album end up too messy with that, because there's one guest and another and another and another. There need to be a certain consistency in the album, and people should not get the idea that they're listening to 12 different bands.
I agree with that, and I think you did it the right way. The idea that a certain song would be suited better for a different voice, I've always thought that too, where I've heard, a band they're a strong band, they've got all the hit songs, but maybe there's that one that I listen to it and I think, wow, this is a really great song if this other guy was singing it instead of, you know what I mean? So I think you did it the right way.
Yeah, for me, I just had to do that, because since this is my first album, and that I ever made, my first album, and I basically have 40 years of music experience and musical influences in this album. So it's pretty much variety between the songs. So I don't think there is one singer that could even sing all the songs, because there are, there's thrash metal on it, there's more real heavy metal on it, there's hair metal on it. So I don't think it could be possible to have one singer to have it all, to sing it all.
Right, agreed. Okay, let's play another track from your album Rise. This one's called Sin City.
Glitter lights selling sin. It tastes sweet, just like the heat, but your dreams are down in flames. Anytime I wanna play, she could be my drive. Ooh yeah, every time she gives it away, I feel alive. But it's not love, it's Sin City. Pretty head, sex kinetic, magnetic, sexy tramps every night in bed. Oh, she knows you want it. Yeah, she knows you need it. Hey, you know you want it. Hey, you know you need it. Anytime I wanna play, she could be my drive. Every time she gives it away, I feel alive, oh yeah. But it's not love, it's Sin City. Ooh, you know, it's never enough in Sin City. Oh, and I can see that it's all going down in flames, but it's not love.
And that was Sin City off of Ron's album Rise. Sin City, is that the Sin City Las Vegas, or is that just a blanket Sin City?
Well, I think it refers to Las Vegas, but it could relate to any Sin City in the world. It deals with all the seductions, you know, women, drink, rock and roll, gambling, and I think the capital of that is Las Vegas.
So our Las Vegas, our Sin City here is doing the most American thing that they could do, and they're in full fuck it mode and just opening things left and right because people are just quivering to gamble again.
Really?
Yes. So,
and is that allowed? Is that allowed to open again?
Well, the general population right now, they simply do not care. Much like our drunken farming forefathers, fighting off a skilled army with rusty farm equipment, homemade weapons. They just don't care anymore. Different states have different rules and different governors, and the state I'm in Pennsylvania, still completely under lockdown. There's fines in place. There's regulations. You can't do this. You can't do that. Whereas other states are saying, nah, we don't care.
Yeah.
It's a strange time.
And Nevada is one of them.
Yeah, Nevada is slowly becoming one of them. Right outside of Reno and all that stuff. Yeah, they're just like, we don't care. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But yeah, so tell me about the song Sin City. Tell me how it got legs, how it got to where it crescendos.
Yeah, this is one of the oldest songs. One of the first songs I wrote, and then I put it aside because that at the same time when I was writing other songs, I thought they were better. So at some point I thought, well, this song's not good enough. But that was at the point where I did not have any vocals to it. So a while later I asked Keith, I said, could you ever listen to this song and see if you can make something out of it? Because I'm not totally convinced that it is fit for the album. He said, yeah, of course. Please send it over and I'll have a look. And he said, yeah, of course I can make something of it. It's a good song and we need to restructure it a bit. But we can make a great song out of it. So that's when he wrote the lyrics and the vocal melody. And I thought it was a transformation of the song. It was really, really much better than it was. And then we had the part of the guitar solo. And I already had sent several emails to George Lynch for a solo. And then Keith sent me a message. He said, yeah, I'll have to do some parts again, but I'll send you over the weekend because I'm on tour with Lynch Mob this weekend, so I cannot record for you. And then I thought, wow, he's three days in a row together with George. I'll ask Keith if he can ask George to play the solo. And so he did. So in that weekend he asked George. And actually, Keith said to me, I'm on the airport with him. Send me a message on WhatsApp, 6 p.m. My time, which is Keith, the time zone of Keith. You were mentioning time zones before.
Yes.
But 6 p.m. in the time of Keith was 3 a.m. at night for me. So, I set the alarm. And right at 2 minutes to 3, the alarm woke me up, and I sent Keith a WhatsApp. I said, "You're with George. Don't forget to ask him." And he said, "Yeah, okay, I'll ask him." And then at that point, he asked him, and George said, "Yeah, sure, send me the song, and if I like it, I'll do it." Yeah, and I think 2 weeks later he had recorded the solo, and I was, I just was completely flabbergasted when I got his email and got his solo, and I thought, man, I have George Lynch on my album.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean,
it's just the way it went, It was setting the alarm at 3 at night, sending Keith a message, and say, oh yeah, I have to ask George, and he asked George, and then George said, yeah, of course, do it. I like it.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
But so. And I know that we kind of wanted to mention reopening of the public for live concerts. I'm really not sure how it's going to work. For us here, we have a show, allegedly, coming up next month. Now, the rules are venues are not allowed venues are not allowed to have more than 25 people. And everything has to be separated by 6 feet. So for a band to play on stage and be separated by 6 feet when it's a small stage, I really don't see the possibility of that unless everybody is standing behind a drummer's sound shield.
That's the same here.